History is filled with mysterious and unsolved events, stories so strange that they still leave historians and scientists searching for answers. In this video, you'll explore real incidents that challenge what we think we know about the past. Number 1. Kazuko Higa was a woman who found herself trapped on an island with around 32 men during World War II. What happened on that island later revealed some harsh truths about human nature. The story takes us back to 1944, when World War II was at its peak and the United States was heavily attacking Japan. To escape American bombings, around 31 Japanese soldiers fled to a remote island called Anatahan. This island was completely cut off from the outside world. At that time, Kazuko Higa was already living on the island with her husband. That meant there were now 32 men and just one woman on Anatahan. In the beginning, things remained relatively calm, but slowly, the situation began to fall apart. One of the soldiers eventually killed Kazuko Higa's husband and forced Kazuko to become his wife. Kazuko had no real choice. She was trapped and powerless, so she stayed silent. But it didn't end there. Soon, another soldier became obsessed with her. He killed the second man and took Kazuko as his wife. This pattern repeated itself. Among those 31 soldiers, a violent struggle began, a fight to possess Kazuko. Whoever got the chance tried to claim her. The most shocking part is that more than 10 men were killed in these internal conflicts. While World War II was raging across the globe, a different kind of war was unfolding on Anatahan Island, a war over one woman. After so many deaths, the remaining men finally realized that the root of the conflict was Kazuko herself. They decided that the only way to stop the bloodshed was to kill her. But before they could carry out their plan, Kazuko managed to escape the island and eventually return to Japan. A few years later, the full story became public. Some people blamed Kazuko, others saw her as a victim. But if we look honestly at the situation, Kazuko was not at fault. She was trapped in an extremely dangerous environment and was doing whatever she could to survive. Later, the media gave her a name, the Queen of Anatahan. Several films have been made about her story, sometimes portraying her as guilty, other times as a victim. So now the question is for you. What do you think about Kazuko Higa? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Number 2. Around 1284 AD, the town of Hamelin was facing a nightmare. Rats were everywhere, inside homes, grain stores, and streets. People couldn't eat in peace, couldn't sleep properly. The town was overwhelmed. Then one day, a strange man arrived. He wore colorful clothes and carried a flute. He claimed he could rid the town of rats using the music from his flute, but only if he was paid for his work. With no other option left, the townspeople agreed. The stranger began to play his flute. As the melody echoed through the streets, thousands of rats emerged from their hiding places and followed him. He led them out of the town and into the nearby Weser River, where the rats drowned. Hamelin was finally free of rats. But when the man returned to claim his promised reward, the townspeople refused to pay him. That's when the story took a dark turn. Sometime later, the same man came back. He played his flute again, but this time, it wasn't the rats who followed him. It was the children. According to the legend, around 130 children walked out of the town, following the sound of the flute, and they were never seen again. It sounds like a fairy tale. But here's what makes it unsettling. Old church records and historical documents from Hamelin do mention the disappearance of the children. Some early records clearly state, in the year 1284, the children of Hamelin mysteriously left the town. After this event, it is said that for many years, a rule was written in the town. No music and no dancing is allowed here. To this day, no one knows what really happened. Historians suggest several possibilities. The children may have died in an epidemic, they may have migrated to another region, or the story may have become symbolic over time. But the question remains, if this was just a story, why do official town records talk about missing children? Even today, in Hamelin, there are statues of the Pied Piper, museums dedicated to the story, and reminders of a mystery that refuses to fade. Number 3. Around 525 BCE, the Persian king Cambyses II prepared to invade Egypt. At the time, Egypt was known not just for its wealth, but for its deeply rooted religious beliefs. This war, however, would be decided less by swords and more by psychology. For the Egyptians, cats were sacred. They were associated with the goddess Bastet and treated as divine beings. Harming a cat was considered a serious crime, something even soldiers feared doing. Cambyses turned that belief into a weapon. When the Battle of Pelusium began, the Persian army advanced with shields marked with images of cats. According to some ancient accounts, they even brought live cats onto the battlefield. The message was clear. Egyptian soldiers hesitated. If they attacked, they risked violating their most sacred beliefs. If they held back, defeat was inevitable. That moment of doubt was all the Persians needed. Exploiting the psychological pressure, they broke through the Egyptian defenses. Soon after, Egypt fell under Persian control. This episode remains one of history's rare examples where faith and psychological warfare proved more powerful than brute force. A reminder that sometimes, battles are won not on the battlefield, but in the mind. Number 4. It was 1942, and World War II was at its peak. Polish soldiers, recently freed from Soviet prison camps in Siberia, had made their way to the Middle East, where they were fighting alongside British forces. During this time, in the mountains of Iran, the soldiers came across a small bear cub. According to the story, an Iranian boy traded the cub to the soldiers in exchange for some food and money. They named him Wojtek, which roughly means happy warrior. At first, Wojtek was just a mascot, but very quickly he became part of the unit. He ate with the soldiers, traveled with them in military trucks, and famously, he even learned to drink beer. In the middle of a brutal war, Wojtek became a source of laughter and comfort for the troops. But his story didn't stop there. In 1944, during the famous Battle of Monte Cassino in Italy, soldiers were carrying heavy crates of artillery shells to supply trucks. Wojtek watched them, and then started copying them. He stood on his hind legs, lifted ammunition crates with his front paws, and carried them to the trucks without dropping them. The soldiers were stunned. What started as a joke turned into something official. The Polish army formally enlisted Wojtek. His name was entered into military records. He was given a rank and a service number, and he became the unit's official emblem, a bear carrying artillery shells. After the war, when the Polish soldiers were relocated to the United Kingdom, Wojtek went with them. He was eventually housed at the Edinburgh Zoo in Scotland. The most touching part came later. When former soldiers visited him, Wojtek recognized them, stood up excitedly, and tried to get close, as if he remembered exactly who they were. In 1963, Wojtek passed away, but his legacy never faded. Today, statues of Wojtek stand in Poland and the UK. Books and documentaries tell his story, and he is remembered as a soldier who didn't fight with weapons, but with loyalty, courage, and heart. Number 5. In Italy, there is a real sword from the 12th century that still exists today, embedded deep inside solid rock. This isn't a legend or a fairy tale. The sword can actually be seen at a real location. The sword is connected to an Italian knight named Galgano Guidotti, later known as Saint Galgano. According to historical accounts, Galgano was once proud, hot-tempered, and known for a violent lifestyle. Around 1170, his life took a dramatic turn. It's said he experienced a powerful spiritual vision with a clear message: abandon violence, put down your sword, live as a man of peace. To prove his transformation, Galgano did something extraordinary. He took his sword and drove it straight into a nearby rock. What shocked everyone was this: the sword didn't break, it didn't bend, it didn't slip out. Instead, it became firmly embedded in stone. That very sword is still preserved today inside the Montesiepi Chapel in Tuscany, exactly where it was placed centuries ago. Modern scientific testing has been done on the weapon. Metallurgical analysis confirms the sword truly dates back to the 12th century, meaning it is not a later forgery or replica. This matches the time period when Galgano was alive. Beneath the chapel, St. Galgano's tomb is located, and nearby, preserved human hand remains have been found. Local legends claim these belong to people who tried to forcibly remove the sword and were punished for it. Historians, however, consider these stories symbolic or later additions to the legend. Today, the sword remains partially embedded in stone, protected behind glass, and continues to raise the same question for every visitor: was this simply a symbol of faith, or a real historical act we still don't fully understand? So, which of these events surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoy videos about real historical mysteries, make sure to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.